Welcome to the EU news on September 27th in 2021. And today we start in Edinburgh in Scotland in the UK. The UK government must continue to provide social security payments due to EU citizens even if they have not yet applied to the EU settlement scheme, said the Scottish government. Since the EU SS deadline passed on 30th of June, the UK government has continued to pay ongoing social security entitlements to EU citizens who have not applied. However, in a letter to the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, Therese Coffey, Minister for Europe Jenny Gilruth notes that these payments will be suspended at the end of September and discontinued completely from the end of October. The letter states, "Poor literacy, a lack of knowledge of English, mental and physical illnesses and disability are all reasons why someone may not have applied to the EU SS. Terminating benefits may lead to homelessness, destitution, hunger and poor physical and mental health. Action to stop payment is unnecessary and disproportionate with a clear risk of harm to people who require our support." The letter to the Secretary of State for Work and Pensions from the Europe Minister can be found on the Scottish Government website. The UK government has sent letters to EU citizens who have yet to apply to the EUSS, which state, "If you do not make a late application, you will not be able to work or access public benefits, and any benefits you will receive will stop." And now we have to go to Brussels in Belgium. Iceland and Norway are officially associated with the Horizon Europe's research program. This means that institutions from these two countries can participate in the European Research and Innovation Program, which is endowed with 95.5 billion euros, under the same conditions as institutions from the EU member states. The Joint Committee of the European Economic Area, made up of representatives from Iceland, Liechtenstein, Norway and the EU, on Friday adopted the relevant decisions for Iceland and Norway, which will be the first countries to be associated with Horizon Europe. The association of Iceland and Norway with Horizon Europe is an opportunity to continue and deepen cooperation in science, research and innovation with an emphasis on common priorities. Those are the double and green digital change, the public health and Europe's competitiveness in the global landscape. Joint efforts will aim to address environmental problems in the Arctic, develop hydrogen and carbon capture technologies, promote data-driven innovation, and much more. Margrethe Vestager, Vice President of the Commission responsible for Europe Fit for the Digital Age, said about this, "Openness and cooperation with the rest of the world are key to our strategy to create a critical mass for research and innovation and solutions for urgent global challenges and to accelerate them after we found them. By joining forces with Iceland and Norway, we will undertake a number of actions in support of the green, digital and health agendas." Maria Gabriel, Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education and Youth, added, "I warmly welcome Iceland and Norway on board Horizon Europe. They performed best in Horizon 2020 and demonstrated innovation leadership and excellence in areas such as energy, the environment, food safety, health and digital technologies. I look forward to new breakthroughs and success stories in the years to come." This cooperation underlines the importance of the EEA agreement, which enables the EEA countries to participate fully in the EU internal market and forms the basis for cooperation in other areas such as research, technological development and environment and culture. Horizon Europe, the EU's research and innovation program for the period from 2021 to 2027, is one of the most important instruments for implementing the European strategy for international cooperation. The European overall concept for cooperation in research and innovation. The program is open to researchers and innovators from around the world who are encouraged to work with EU partners to develop proposals. Negotiations are currently underway with many other non-EU countries that have expressed their interest in an association with Horizon Europe, and further announcements will be made in the coming weeks about this. And now let's go to Ljubljana, to Slovenia, to the current EU presidency. At an informal meeting at Broblikranju, attended by the European Commissioner for Transport Adina Vălean, transport ministers discussed key aspects of the proposal for regulation on the development of alternative fuels infrastructure, part of the Fit for 55 legislative package. They called for clear objectives and the deployment of wide public network of recharging and refueling infrastructure for alternative fuels in transport. The European Green Deal's target of a 90% reduction in transport-related emissions by 2050 is extremely ambitious and will be challenging to achieve as transport demand will continue to grow in the coming decades. To achieve this goal, the Sustainable and Smart Mobility Strategy sets out a roadmap to deliver smooth and reliable European transport for a sustainable and smart future, and to ensure a flexible, competitive, safe, accessible and affordable transport system and a well-functioning single European transport area. While mobility has been severely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic, the recovery from the crisis must be utilized to help the transport sector become greener, smarter and more resilient. The proposal for the new regulation on the deployment of alternative fuels infrastructure sets out binding targets to ensure there is sufficient minimum infrastructure in place to support the higher use of alternative fuel vehicles that is required in all modes of transport, as well as for the use of clean fuels. The presiding Minister for Infrastructure, Ehrenamt, stressed that a successful European transformation of mobility to alternative fuels required a wide public refueling infrastructure network allowing easy and transparent use for all physical and commercial mobility users who are aware of the importance of the transition to clean transport. The transport ministers agreed on the need for sufficiently ambitious and coordinated infrastructure planning in all member states, well adapted to the increased 2030 climate ambition targets. According to Minister Vitovic, it is necessary to enable all alternative fuel vehicle users to travel smoothly across the European Union by speeding up the deployment of refueling infrastructure in the EU. If we want to achieve wide acceptance of alternative fuel vehicles among users, we need refueling and fuel supply infrastructure that is simple and transparent, providing full information and adequate payment options. In this way, we will also accelerate the growth of the market for low and zero emissions vehicles and take an important step forward towards a 55% reduction of greenhouse gas emissions in the European Union by 2030, said the infrastructure minister. He also pointed out that one of the key challenges is to advocate for coordinated action between alternative fuel vehicle manufacturers, alternative fuel producers, and refueling infrastructure providers. And now we have to go back to Brussels in Belgium. In a statement released on Friday, the EU condemned malicious cyber activities linked to the Russian state. Several member states have observed cyber attacks known as ghostwriters. Such activities are unacceptable as they aim to threaten our integrity and security, democratic values and principles, and the basic functioning of our democracies, said EU High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy, Josep Borrell, in a joint statement. The attacks target numerous members of parliaments, government officials, politicians, as well as representatives of the press and civil society in the EU by accessing computer systems and personal accounts and stealing data. The activities are contrary to those approved by all UN member states and the norms of responsible government behavior in cyberspace, and try to undermine democratic institutions and processes among other things by enabling disinformation and information manipulation, the statement said. In Germany, by the way, the statistics office was attacked, but not that successful. And once more, we have to go to Ljubljana in Slovenia, to the EU presidency. At an informal meeting held on September 24th at Brobry, ministers responsible for consumer protection discussed how to enhance consumer protection for future generations in the age of digitization and tourism. The global dimension of the COVID-19 pandemic has spurred on the digitization and rapid growth of commerce and financial services, while the tourism sector has experienced a severe downturn and come to a complete standstill. Enforcing consumer rights in these areas has become a challenge that needs to be properly addressed, stressed Minister Politik at the beginning of the meeting. He said that the key challenges are managing new risks stemming from technological advances in online financial services and dealing with sharp increase in online sales of products. The ministers welcomed the proposal for regulation on general product safety, which takes into account important objectives in terms of ensuring safe products in the single market. The new challenges emerging in consumer protection that must be addressed include changes in consumer habits, the sharp increase in online sales of products, and the management of new risks brought about by technological advances. Ensuring that only products that are safe, irrespective of whether they are sold online or in physical stores, are available on the market is a key objective that we must pursue in this area. In this respect, it's important to strike a balance between the regulation in force and those in the pipeline, as they said. Over the last 2 years, more and more new providers and new types of consumer credit have been appearing on the consumer credit market. Ignorance of how online platforms work and unfamiliarity can very quickly lead to serious harm to customers, agreed the minister, stressing that the proposal for directive on consumer credit indicates a step in the right direction. On tourism, the ministers agreed there was first a need to examine and assess all possible shortcomings of the current package travel directive. They emphasized that EU member states support examining the appropriateness of the current package and the package travel directive. As the epidemic has shown, it's unsuitable in the exceptional circumstances that both consumers and businesses have faced and continue to face. Commissioner Reinders stressed that the European Commission wants to restore consumers' confidence in consumer credit and ensure that this sector works for the consumer and not against them. The General Product Safety Directive needs to be recast as it is not suitable for the digital age. In fact, more than 70% of today's consumers shop online. To this end, the European Commission has issued 2 legislative proposals in the area of consumer protection, namely the proposals for a directive on consumer credit and a regulation on general product safety, which have already been announced in the context of the new consumer agenda. The European Commission has launched a review of the Package Travel Directive and will analyze whether there is a need for further harmonization in relation to insolvency procedures and specific rules on the refund of paid package travel, concluded the Commissioner. Minister Politik, in his capacity as chair, brought the meeting to a close by saying, "It has become clear that we need swift, effective and united action at EU level to respond to the crisis. Ensuring that consumer rights are respected is a key responsibility of EU member states, and I am confident that with the right legislation, we will achieve better consumer protection for future generations." The event, by the way, was co-financed by the European Union. And I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.